Welcome to the 16th and final video in the Citizens Policy Center training that was recorded on December the 17th. I want to thank Citizens for allowing us, the specialty insurance agents of Florida, to participate in this, and we look forward to bringing you more of this in the future. Thank you, everybody, and see you later. This lesson was brought to you by Affinity Insurance Agency, so you be sure to contact them before you renew your E&O insurance.
Just about getting the quote, and then obviously the client may wait for a few weeks to recontact. So just some idea of how that functionality, you quote it, you release the price to the consumer, and then it goes on pause for a few weeks. So again, I know folks, our training environment has some limitations to it in terms of full functionality. I didn't want to put Patrick on the spot, but while you're doing that, Patrick, I can get to another question if you need a minute, or if you're ready to take a flyby, we can try it.
Well, here what I've done here, Carl, is I'm at the account level for the account that we started earlier, and I'm just going to click New Submission and start a personal residential quote. And I'm going to select, it's a multi-peril, it's not contents only. You see me walking through some of these steps, and you know what, we'll just call it a DP3. And I get to a point here, and I start to fill out some of this required information. And now if I click the Save Draft and come out of this, go to back to the account level, I've now got a new transaction in progress, a new submission on a DP3D, that's just for dwelling, on this DP3 new transaction. And if I were to go, let's just say, back to my desktop and then click into a policy, this policy change that we started, and look at it and go back to my desktop again, I can actually go click into the account that I was just in. If I click this account number here, that's the account I was just at, and go back to the transaction that's in progress, it brings me back right where I left off, allowing me to go back in and complete this submission. Now also, since we are in this submission here, if the customer came back and said, never mind, we found coverage somewhere else, I can also withdraw this transaction and click this withdraw reason, just whatever the reason is, insured found coverage elsewhere, and click withdraw. I get a notice submission's been withdrawn, and then I can go back to my desktop and go work on something else.
Great.
So you kind of got a 2-for-1 there.
Yeah, great job, Patrick. Thank you so much for that. Patrick, we did have one question on, we demoed an HO4 with $45,000 and a $1,000 AOP. Question around, did the contents and deductibles available change? So some perception that what we demoed might not be available today. Right now, we know of no changes to the current deductible options that are available out there on the system. So I'm not sure if that was relevant to the demo or what, but right now, folks, don't apply anything. In terms of the demo that you're looking at, we're not intending to announce any coverage changes or apply any coverage changes in the demo. So there should be no changes to available coverages based on that. Okay. And Linda, you had a couple other specific questions in here that I won't be able to address because they're going to require kind of an underwriting answer, and I don't want to swag that. So Linda, we'll get back to you directly on the other couple of questions that you asked. Okay. Thank you. And let's try a couple more. Some good questions here, folks, that the reason we ask you to ask us questions is we are getting now some interesting questions that are going to require us to do a bit more digging rather than just kind of answer them on the fly, because they're operations-based and very, very good. So if I'm not acknowledging your question, we are going to address it. But some of them are going to require a little bit more research than we're prepared to do right here on the phone. So, okay, we appreciate that. Other than those 2 or 3 questions that I'm going to hold and get back to agents individually on, and due to their complexity, we won't be able to get to right now, we've run through the questions that were asked in the email box, so we appreciate that input. Patrick, if you'd be so kind as to put that email address up one more time. Folks, if you have any other questions or thoughts around the system as you maybe go through the education materials, obviously our CCC folks at Citizens are standing by to take your calls. They've been fully trained on the system and are prepared to address concerns that you have. Should you have an additional question, again, we're not committing to respond to all of these individually, but if you want to bring something to our attention, please feel free to use this agent outreach mailbox. And Patrick, if you'd be so kind as to morph back over one more time to the website where the agent training is. Again, we want to point out the 3 web pages that are available to you with education resources. The modules that are there are intended for you to sit down, have a cup of coffee, view them, listen. The job aids, in the moment, help for the transaction you're trying to do. And we've broken these up into overview, orientation, writing new business, and servicing your policies. Look for more content to be added to these pages as we go down the road and get more input from agents on what additional education they need. And I'll leave you with this. There's also a Policy Center training environment that Patrick used, and he's circling it now. Should you want to go into a training environment and play with the system a bit, that training environment is available to you. There's a separate login ID that we've sent everybody, but should you need a login ID for that, simply call Citizens Customer Support, and they'd be happy to set you up with a credential for that training environment. Last but not least, again, remember the changes here. New business effective 2/1/2014. You'll need to process on Policy Center, and your renewals are slowly migrating over to Policy Center. So while we have about 6-7 weeks to really get to know the system, February will be here before we know it, and more operations and processing will be done on Policy Center as we move through 2015. So we are at the second step in the journey. We really encourage you to go back through the online modules that are available. Let us know if you have questions, and watch for live training event information to be posted shortly, where you may have the potential to come into a live classroom environment, work with our instruction team, and do a much deeper dive in the system. So with that, we appreciate everyone's time and attention today, and I'm going to turn it back over to Eddie to close us out. Eddie, take it away.
Thank you, Carl, Patrick, and Allie. Folks, we encourage you to join Specialty Insurance Agents of Florida. Check us out at our website at siaof.com. You're going to find out that we have more benefits